Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day, police, injustice. It's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, y'all. Back again. Another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is what we do. And today we're going to talk about some social constructs. Social constructs are ideas or beliefs that influence the way we think and feel. They're societal. Yes. So we're going to look at some ideas around cowboys, gangsters, music artists, athletes, superheroes, you name it. We're going to try to talk about a little of these things and see what we can learn about what it means to be masculine from these ideas. I got my boys here again, so we ain't got to do the introduction. Y'all see we in the same old, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, baby, same outfit. You know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I was in the military, we were like, here we go again. Same old stuff again. Walking down the avenue. Oh, let me stop. But anyway, so fellas, gangsters. Let's start with gangsters. We can kind of put them gangsters and cowboys. What are some of your favorites and maybe some of the masculine men messages you think you receive from some of these characters or movies or shows?
I'm gonna start because my favorite movie of all time is Goodfellas.
Okay.
So I start
Not
there.
mad at you.
Love Goodfellas. I had every mafia video game that was out. I just was infatuated with the whole gangster idea of how like Goodfellas was ran. Like I looked up to like Jimmy Conway, which was like he didn't play no games in Goodfellas. Like they had this saying like on there, like if you owe me money, like you pay me. Like it didn't matter. Like he would blow up the restaurant. Like and everybody knew when he came on the block, when Jimmy came on the block, everybody moved out the way. They used to carry his parents' groceries from the grocery store to their house. You didn't want to owe him money. You didn't want to mess with none of this girl, nothing. Like he didn't play no games. And I don't know why, but like I just always looked up to him growing up. I'm like, I want to be like that. And I don't know what the infatuation was. I think it was more like the respect that he had too. And then I go with American Gangster, which is one of my top 10 favorite movies. And I love American Gangster by Jay-Z, the album. And like how, you know, how he was, Denzel played in that movie. And everybody's most favorite scene in that movie is when he go to the dude, he like 20%. And the dude didn't put the money in there. He shot him right on the street. And then went back into the restaurant, put his napkin on, and just started eating. And everybody looking like, he just do that? Like, so I don't know. That was like my infatuating with. But I grew up on like gangster movies though.
Yeah. So you grew up on gangster movies?
Yeah, I grew up on that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, my background, you know, I was raised in a big time religious home and a big time culturally sound home, you know, being self-aware of who I was as an African American. And so from that perspective, I never really glorified the gangster role like that. But I would say the most impressionable one that stood out to me growing up was New Jack City, Nino Brown.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
You know, like,
Talk to me.
man, how Wesley Snipes played that role, man. I mean, he was just the epitome of just a hardcore gangster file, smack your mama.
Cash Money Brothers.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just a vicious dude, man. And so it more so put in perspective on how foul it can get out here. You know, from certain people's perspective, how ruthless that gangster role can be, you know, where it's like, man, family, friends, anything, anybody can get it, you know. So it more so kind of like just putting my eyesight on who to watch out for, you know what I'm saying, and how vicious it can really get out here when you're dealing with certain individuals. So that's, you know.
Hey, can I say something on
that
that?
Nino Brown.
You remember that scene? I think Keith Sweat is at a wedding, and somebody come and shoot up at the wedding.
He picked the little girl
and he
up.
picked the little girl up.
Yeah, and he like used her as the shield.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
How ruthless do it get?
But he was so cool though, man.
He was still cool as a
Man,
fan,
was
and he
cool
had
on
the female, so it made me realize, like, you know, what they say, good girls like bad dudes. You know, sometimes I was looking at that side too, like, oh man, the gangster dudes, they kind of winning on the girls' side. You know, the girls like that, you know, ruthless than ever, because I guess it's that level of protection that they feel around that.
Yeah, level of protection. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was probably one of the most influential for me.
Gotcha.
Not realistically speaking, Denzel. My first thought came to mind was American Gangster. It was like locked in my head for all the same reasoning, bro. Like it was just everything about it. Seeing them cats that, for the most part, like were negative, like in life as who they were, and also were negative to the community, but who also did stuff that was positive that impacted the community too.
Exactly.
And then had fear and had respect about themselves. But then also, like, I think at some point I came to that point of realizing when somebody made the statement of like, man, like look at everything that you did illegal. And think if you would have took that same tenacity and put it into something positive and constructive as a whole, what you could have done and what you could have been. And and that's kind of what made me look at it like, yeah, because at the end of the day, almost every one of them stories, from movies and TV to gangsters I was raised around and knew in real life, all them stories end bad. Like, I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all them stories end bad. But these guys
in
like,
2 hours.
In 2 hours. In 2 hours.
Bro, in 2 hours. It all go bad. I'm all right. I need more than 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in 2 hours, man. Definitely in 2 hours. That's good. But I mean, you think about those stories, man. It's just but don't they feel like they are so foundation American? Like, you know, power, money, girls, guns, cars. All the things that we desire, they have it, and they're bad boys. Why do good girls like that old song? Why do good girls like bad boys? Yeah. They have all this stuff. I mean, come on, one of the greatest gangsters of all time, but Scarface.
Scarface, yeah.
Like, violent.
And highly intelligent too, though. Like,
highly intelligent.
They always show like they're generally the most, you know, smartest person, most charismatic person in the room because they've been able to gain that level of influential power. I was thinking about in recent times that show Snowfall. I know y'all seen that.
yeah.
You know, man, how bro played that from start to finish, man, was so genius in just showing how in all aspects how ruthless you can get, but how intelligent, how charismatic, how just resourceful, man. You know, this dude was persuasive, man. Like this dude was
but fearless with it though.
Was
like
cold with it.
willing to put it all on the line to like get where he was trying to go with it. And like I said, it's genuinely, if you took that same tenacity, that same effort, that same energy, that same mind power and put it into something that wasn't illegal. You know what I'm saying? You could have done anything in the world.
Because I like how it was a full circle at the end, though, showing how after all that, then boom, he still came down to nothing at the end,
Right?
Because of the lifestyle that he, you know, adopted.
Out brief candle. Life was but a walking shadow. A poor player who struts and fronts his hour upon the stage. Then is heard no more. Is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Macbeth, Shakespeare.
Man, got it. Quotes.
So look, we out here, we trying to do our thing, we killing other people, we doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it signifies nothing. But that story, man, those kind of stories, man, they always like they get pushed out there, man, and you know, and how many young brothers you come across, man, they want to be, they feel like you talk to them.
Oh,
They want to be like these guys, man. I remember, you remember that movie Sugar Hill?
Sugar Hill. Oh yeah, I remember Sugar Hill.
Yeah, Sugar Hill.
Yeah, I
and remember, so Wesley was in that movie too, but it got a different vibe to it. It's really telling a deeper story about that life.
Sugar Hill, you done took me back.
But remember, he walking down the street, or he coming out, and this little boy on a bicycle come by there, and he said, you know, I want to grow up. Can I come and work with you? I want to be just like you. And he's like, nah, you don't want to do this. Remember that? But he saw that as like, man, that's where I want to be at, man. That's where I want to be at. You know, I remember somebody not too long ago, man. It feels like, you know, being a black man, it feels like there's always these messages out there that wants to criminalize us. In fact, you know, there's these people out here there's this man out here right now. They call him number 45, and I get so uncomfortable because you know there are people who will say that he was like the first, number 45 was like the first black president. And this is criminal.
What?
And this is criminal and just as gangstery as he could be, right? Without yeah. But that whole idea, man, it feels like we always, particularly black men, we always criminalizing us, making us look like we gotta be negative. We gotta be, we gotta relate in this way. These stories, man, it's like, okay, so our sense of masculinity and being a bad boy is associated to something like that. Versus to somebody like maybe Barack Obama or Frederick Douglass or Martin Luther King or even a Malcolm X.
Right.
No, the thing that's crazy though, because like when we start off and you talk about like Goodfellas, it's like they can, man, like, people can be like, yeah, black criminals, gangsters, thugs, whatever. It's like Goodfellas, The Godfather. That was all before Boys in the Hood, fam. Like, chill out. Like, what you mean? Like, bro, like, Kill the Irishman happened here. That was white people. That wasn't us. What is y'all talking about? White people been super gangster for a long time. Super criminals for a long time. Like, America was stolen. Like, what y'all talking about? Y'all been gangsters since way back. Like, before we ever had a chance to even be. So it's crazy that it's like what we picked up to adopt and create our version of gangster was inspired by them.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think I was gonna say this 2 seconds, but I think like Goodfellas and The Godfather, like it was more organized.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
had structure and
For sure.
purpose. And then you bring on like Nino Brown, who was just wilding out, you know, just kind of just.
Well, you know, we got it was structured. But you gotta remember, we gotta do it with seasoning though. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We gotta do it with herbs and spices.
Yeah, you right.
That's all. It was different.
I just feel like it's also connected to the struggle for, as you were saying, the American dream, right? To be able to climb up the success ladder in America for a black person, a black man, has been more difficult than the counterpart white man because, you know, corporate America, all these quote unquote legit forms of being able to become financially successful, the doors aren't open for us in the same manner. And we don't have the same type of foundational capital to get on their levels when it comes to business. So a lot of times it seems like the underworld, the criminal route, is the only way to climb up that success ladder.
It keeps calling me, man. It keeps calling me.
Yeah. I mean, I've literally had conversations with brothers who I cut who will tell me, you know, they're in the life of drug dealing. And I try to, you know, convince them to walk away from it. But it's like for them, they're like, man, I can make $5,000 in a week or $2,000 in a day. What corporate company can I go to and get that type of financial success? You know what I'm saying? In the same type of short amount of time frame. So it's that allure to get that get money quick scheme that keeps calling their name. You know what I'm saying? And all those figures who've been glorified in that gangster light, you know, that's been positioned in front of them so much, they feel like that's the route.
Yeah, and everybody has that stupidity level of that ignorance and that arrogance level of feeling like that happened to them. It ain't gonna happen to me. wrong, bro. Like, you definitely up on the chopping block if that's what you decide to do. You know what I'm saying? But everybody feel like they so special that they can't get touched that same way. And people learn that lesson the long, hard way and real aggressive. And like you said, like, once they get into it and you live in a certain type of lifestyle and you provide it for yourself, your family, whoever else, well, now, yeah, like you said, where can you go and be like, yeah, I ain't never had a job, but I expect this type of money. It don't exist for real. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I want y'all to think about something. Like, when we come into the world, we are a blank slate. That means our brain doesn't come in with a whole lot of influences other than those things that are biological, right? So when we come into the social world, we start getting messages from the world around us. That world starts shaping the way we think about ourselves, the way we see what we become, what we can become, what we'll do in life. So if we start getting the messages that glamorize the idea and operationalizing the negative stuff, we see that as a real possibility, and we see it as being functional versus dysfunctional. So the only life for me is that, because that's all I see. And unless somebody comes and shake my world up and change my trajectory, something happens. That's what I see. So we take so much in our music, we take so much in our TV, so much we get all these negative messages. And the brain doesn't differentiate between reality and fake. The brain just reacts to the emotional response or the messages. So it's internalizing this stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have somebody in your life that's helping you to process and develop constructive ideas, or you don't have other things that's coming in your life to help you develop constructive ideas around all of this stuff,
right,
you can get caught up in that and feel like it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And that's the scary thing. And so when our society as a whole push that, and then our society as a whole is a drug culture, because everywhere you go, there's a drugstore, there's a liquor store. We're always talking about some type of drug and how we can get it and how can it help us and solve problems, whether it's legal, not legal, whatever. We live in that type of world. It becomes so functional for us. We see it as being okay and just, although there might be laws and all this kind of stuff to encourage us not to be that way. So many of the messages we get are violent.
Oh, yeah.
Even, look, like one of the coolest movies ever is the first Shaft. Now, I got it. Samuel L. Jackson's Shafts are good, but they don't touch the first Shaft.
The OG Shaft.
The Richard Roundtree.
Yeah. That story was amazing, by the way. And it was socially conscious. Guy, if you've never seen it, you gotta watch that movie. But I mean, he was a good guy, but he still had guns. He still was a fighter. He still was a protector. He still was all those things, but he was on the side of legal, but he did a lot of the same. He didn't do those things, but those same kind of ideas about what it meant to be a man was still being presented in the way that was written out. And you can think of a lot of positive movies.
Yeah, that proximity of influence, though, is important because, like, I work with youth and doing mentorship. And one of the first things we ask them when we start off with them is, what do you see yourself being when you grow up? And so many of them, rappers, entertainers, athletes, some of them probably want to say street dudes, but they don't want to say it to us because they know that not the right thing to say per se. And we're big on, bringing some other influences around them so that they can see it, so they can see other professions, to know that, okay, I can become successful and still be a therapist, or I can be a podcast director, or I can be a sports agent and, work with athletes and things like that. Giving them other options when they don't have that on a daily basis. All they know is what their environment, brings them.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, that's all they know. So if we don't help them get other messages, then look at that. I saw Bad Boys the other day. Y'all seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's really good.
Man, that joke was great.
Yeah. But again, it was great. It was an interesting storyline. But at the same time, there's the violence. There's all the the craziness with guns and all this stuff. Men and guns. They seem like we make them just like go together. And so what do we do? Going back to the Cowboys, what do we do? What message are we sending about what it means to be a man? To be a man, do you have to have a gun?
Absolutely not.
No.
Gotcha.
Still got a couple of them, but no.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nah.
Yeah,
Is it wise in the society that open carry? You know, like
You feel me?
you know,
Yeah,
maybe,
for sure,
you know,
for sure.
but-
Yeah, but like I don't ever walk out the house like, you know what, I'm gonna need this today. Like that ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not what it's about. I feel like just standing on your principles, having principles in the first place. Like that's what's, you know, that's what being a man is. That's what being, like, you know what I'm saying, standing behind your word, meaning what you say, like backing your word up. Is there value to your word? You know what I mean? The things that really matter, like, do people that look up to you, like, are they doing it for the actual reasons that you are who you present yourself as?
Gotcha. Hey, seriously, what I think about some of the messages some superheroes bring to the table about masculinity.
Superheroes.
Yeah. Now, I thought you wanted to say something about Batman.
Oh yeah, Batman, my favorite of all time. Yeah, I think because just the way he protects the city, but then also at the same time, I mean, you get some people who say, you know, Bruce Wayne hides behind the mask, not showing like who he is. Is that really masculine? Some people say no. I'm gonna say yeah, just because that's my favorite superhero, so I'm a little bit biased. But at the same time, he is a protector though. He protects the city of Gotham. He protects his people that he loves the most. He tries to, you know, do as much as he can, but I think he shows masculinity through that.
Yeah. And so
I think so.
And so the thing about the compartmentalization of his life, though, he can't genuinely ever really truly be himself, because he's number one, he's trying to protect people, right? But number two, if he has to always be in a way dishonest. So I can't really tell you how I really feel, what I'm really thinking, because if I did, it's gonna be all these consequences. And I think a lot of men think like that. You know, I can't really come out and express my feelings or my emotions because I gotta hide behind this, or I gotta protect this, or whatever, and stuff like that. Or you gonna see me as a failure, or you're gonna see me as weak, or you're gonna see me as something that I don't wanna appear. That's that's one of the other sides of that. But
Yeah, no, I think it most definitely is, because I think a lot of men think that being masculine is being strong, being that protector, being a provider. But I can't never be vulnerable, because the minute I be vulnerable, my girl might think I'm weak, and then she doesn't see me as the protector anymore. She doesn't see me as that provider anymore. So I have to turn my emotions off. But I feel like I can speak for me. Like, if you turn your emotions off for so long, how do you turn it back on?
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you be able to show, like, no, I can still protect you, but when I want to express my feelings, I can also be vulnerable. But that doesn't mean I can't protect you. Right. You know, I think you gotta find that gray area, like we talked about before. I don't think it's gotta be, you gotta be like super, super strong or like super, super weak. I feel like you could be a mixture of both. But I think it's tough though. I think it's tough to show that softer side of you, but still have a woman be like, he can still protect me, even though he's showing emotions or he's being emotional in this moment. And that might not necessarily mean like I'm crying. You know, that doesn't also mean emotion. Like, I'm just pouring tears out. Me being emotion is me saying, you know, I love you, I care about you, expressing like how I really, really feel. That's still a part of being emotional. But if I say that, do you still feel like I'm a man? Do you still feel like I can protect you and I can provide? Do you feel like, oh, my man weak? But that's what a lot of men just think. So I think it's tough to be that way. So a lot of people, like, you know, Batman, like Iron Man. Remember, Iron Man didn't show his emotions at all. So a lot of superheroes don't do that, because if I show you that emotion, I lose the edge of me being the protector of you. You might not see me that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Iron Man had this thing though. He was arrogant.
Yeah,
to the
no,
point
Tony
that
Stark
he
was arrogant. Yeah,
to his detriment. He was arrogant. So yeah, I'm Iron Man. But then when he does that, what he creates is an environment where his house gets blown up, because he puts himself out there like that. So finding that balance between the two.
Yeah, that was crazy. But you know what though? In all actuality though, I think that it quickly the MCU really has given us some amazing examples that fit into this. Like, for example,
We're gonna have to do a show just on this. Go ahead.
oh, real life though, real life.
ahead.
Like, so like I said quickly though, like Spider-Man, for example, in this most recent iteration. Spoiler alert: he of course want to try to protect his MJ in this universe. Of course he want to protect the city. Of course he tries his hardest to protect Aunt May. You know what I'm saying? And he come up short multiple times. He takes losses. You know what I'm saying? They happen. Like in the most recent joint, when he get down to the end, and it's like he decides wipe everybody's memory, make everybody forget who I am. That's to protect everybody who is close to him, who he care about. And then he has the choice to then go and find his friend, to go find Ned, and to go get MJ, and then introduce himself to them and bring them back into his world. But ultimately, he decides to make the sacrifice to be alone to protect them, and never goes and tell them who he is and bring him back in.
But the reason why he had to do all that is because he was hard-headed and wanted to do things his way.
So
in the first place.
what I'm saying is that's going from him being a 16-year-old
Yeah.
to maturing to becoming, to being 19. You see an arc of where he started, and then where he got to a point of falling in love, where he gets to a point of being a man, looking at these other heroes around him, and then, like I said, ultimately making a sacrifice for him on his own behalf in order to keep everybody else safe. Like, to never be known, to be by yourself, that's a sacrifice. That's a masculine thing. Like, and it's one that he'll never be rewarded for, because nobody knows that he made the sacrifice.
He made the sacrifice.
See what I'm saying? And that's the type of sacrifices that we as men make all the time, that people don't know that we made them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it don't get much more masculine than that kind of scenario. Or the same with Captain America. He all he wanted was that chick forever. Then he got buff. Now you can have her. But no, he decided to go into the ice to save the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out of here, bro. I gotta save everybody, so I'm gonna go ahead and sacrifice myself. Hey, baby, I ain't gonna be able to make that date that we set up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he thought it was over with for real. Yeah. Fortunately, he ain't kicked the bucket, but he made that sacrifice. Like I said, we done got some real good examples of what that could look like.
So, I was listening to you talk. I was thinking about Spider-Man, and I also thought about the Flash, and both of them. What men try to do, oftentimes we are taught that we should be fixers, and we want to fix things, right? And so they were trying to fix or atone things. So thinking about Flash, and particularly since you just talked about Spider-Man, he kept going back in time, trying to change things. And every time he went back, he made things worse. In some way, things changed. He made things worse. So I guess one of the things we have to realize as men is we can't fix everything. We can't change everything. We have to learn that things are what they are. Spider-Man was so he was trying to be Spider-Man in like the earlier renditions of Spider-Man. 1, 2, and 3. I can't think of his name. Tobey Maguire. And when he was dealing with his feelings with MJ, he was getting so. He was having such issues with that. He was having performance issues as a Spider-Man because he couldn't. Because he was struggling. Yeah. He was struggling with his feelings, man, and didn't know what to do with him.
Right.
And didn't know what to do with him. But it was real that he was having these feelings, and he actually really needed to deal with them. Mm-hmm. And so he was jumping off the side of buildings, and his webs weren't working because mentally he was in a place that he wasn't dealing with. And I think as men, oftentimes we'll get in places and we won't deal with what we're feeling. And next thing you know, we're having issues at work, with family, or wherever, because it comes out in our bodies. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. So, It comes out in our
Yeah, but you gotta remember, like, we ain't none of this that you physically see. Mm-hmm. Like, the essence of each person, you're a squishy blob floating around inside your head. You're a brain that has a body to control. Like, you know what I'm saying? And your mind is the most powerful thing. Like, if you think it, once you lock it into your mind, then that's what it's gonna be. And if you ain't got that under control, then you you in trouble.
Yeah, and you know what? Thinking of that, I think of Mr. Incredible, like from now I get the Incredibles, right? Like he could do, he tried to be good at everything, right? But he couldn't. Yeah. He fell short because he was trying to do so much. So we know we can't be good at everything. But to your point, what is the basic fundamental operation of the brain?
Like it's everything. Like your brain tells your body what to do. Like my brain right now in this moment is telling the muscles in my lower back to keep myself sat up in posture. It's telling these fingers to hold on to this microphone. It's telling these fingers to point at this microphone as I make my point while I formulate the sentences that I hear in my mind, because there's another version of yourself in your head listening to the words that you're about to say before you spit them joints out. Like it do everything. And it's also telling me to breathe at the same time while it's telling my heart to beat, while it's telling the blood to pump. Like it's everything. Yeah.
So to your point, the primary function of the brain is to keep the physiological operations of the body intact. It's not to reason, it's not to create, it's to actually keep the body moving. And so when we put so much demand on our brain that we overdo it, we tend to be more emotionally stressed out. So the brain needs sleep, the brain needs healthy foods, the brain needs exercise. Those three things. When we don't get those things, the brain tends to respond to things in the environment and we feel more stress in our bodies. Because those things help the brain operate like it's supposed to. And so when we're trying to be superheroes, we try and, we be all powerful and we don't do those things, then what happens is we tend to have more problems in regulating our emotions.
That's deep.
Very deep. Especially when they say stress, is the number one killer. How much stress we put on our bodies. And I just thinking, like, for me in my 40s, man, being middle-aged, this is like the prime time of my life where I feel like everyone around me looks at me like a superhero. Like I can do everything for all people.
You remember? So we didn't even say there's a knight in shining armor. Yeah. Trying to be the knight in shining armor. What does that represent, man? Come on, even all the Disney princes, right? Prince. Right. So being able to do everything. Is that a realistic definition of a man and being masculine? Because really we're getting down to what really is masculinity. What is it really?
And then our ego pushes it to try to achieve that superhero type.
Yeah.
Accomplishment.
Be that
to
king.
Really beat every single thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if we can't come up to those things, then we feel shame and we feel doubt and everything. And then we go in our little corner and we get angry and mad when really we don't have to be all those things. Maybe if Spider-Man trusted people more, maybe they could be supportive of him. I think, we oftentimes feel like we can do it all by ourselves or we have to do it all by ourselves. We really had never been designed like that.
Yeah. I could say, it's funny because you say, doing everything by yourself. I say for my uncle, I thought he was a superhero my whole life. Because I feel like he was doing, everything. But then, as I got older and as we just got closer, he was breaking so much stuff down. And, he did have help. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's the false reality of, like you said, masculinity. But I feel like what that is, it's just saying that you're going to do what you said you're going to do. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you're going to be late, communicate it. If you can't do it, say that. I feel like trying to lend a helping hand to your family as much as you possibly can, but also at the same time, have that communication. Look, I really wanted to come over there and help you cut your grass. I'm drained from work. I'm tired. I can't show up. That doesn't mean you not being a man or standing on your responsibilities. You just communicating that you can't be there. Now, when you just not showing up and not communicating, that's a little bit different. Yeah. But I feel like being masculine or being a man is just saying that you're going to do the things you're going to do and holding yourself accountable to that. And if you can't do it, communicate it.
All right.
That's all it is. Not all it is, but in a nutshell to me.
So true or false? To be masculine, you don't have to be all powerful.
No, not at all.
Yeah. True or false? To be masculine, you don't have to be able to solve everybody's problems.
True. You don't have to. You don't have to.
True or false? It's okay to be in touch with your emotions.
True.
True. Yeah. True.
Yeah. It's okay to talk to people about your feelings.
Yeah.
True.
True. It's good for us to live in compartmentalize and live with a lot of secrets.
False.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
You wanna live-
Yeah.
No, that start adding up.
Speaking it out is the therapy in it. You know?
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you know, it's just it's knowing who to talk to, how to talk. You know, some things, you know, everybody got something that's just for them. You know, that you keep to yourself. But yeah, no, bottling things and just withholding and letting whatever it is stack up against you, that ain't gonna never do you no good.
Yeah, because we ain't got to be no knight in shining armor. We just got to be good, right?
Yeah, no, but like, well, again, it's like we talked about on the last episode. It's just you got to remember, like, things are different for a reason. Like, things in the world change, and we got to progress. And so, like, those antiquated types of thinking is like women didn't do and couldn't do certain types of things in the times when the stories all had a damsel in distress, and you had to have a man come save the day. Like, that's not the world no more. You know what I mean? Like, that's not realistic. Like, yo, low key, I'm not trying to save nobody. That's not really part of the job description. Like, we
you say?
We in a world where we supposed to be able to complement each other. Now, of course, again, in that manliness, the protector, the provider, the leader, who's also able to be led. Like, those are all the things that are going to, but like trying to protect and shield you from everything that could ever happen in the world, that ain't realistic. Yeah. That's crazy. It's different. You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, you know, like I said, when those stories happened, that was how it had to be.
So let me ask you this: is it truly masculine to ask for help?
Yeah,
it should be
because you have right. Because the fact that you are able to humble yourself down to be able to do so, that in itself is exactly what that is.
I like what you said when you said the best leaders know how to be led. Like, you have to be able to receive guidance, man.
Right, because you're not infallible, bro. So you got to understand that. You got to understand that you have you also have the potential to be wrong. You also have the potential to not see something. So, like, other varying perspectives always can assist you. You know what I'm saying? Can always help you. And it's like, you can't think that you know everything about anything.
For sure.
No, you can't think that. So it's not fair to say to be masculine, you have to know everything. You have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to be most powerful. You have to have the most money. No, those things aren't necessarily true. That doesn't make you a man. That doesn't make you masculine.
Right, but it's a healthy balance and a combination of all of those things together, and also being aware of that, being self-aware of that, and then being able to express that, and that way it's like, you know, like we know that none of our women look at us like you are the strongest nigga on earth. Like, you can beat up everybody ever. Like, no, they don't think that, but they know that they safe with us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They secure with us. They know that they can trust us, they can depend on us. Those are the things, those are masculine traits. Those are the things that matter. You know what I'm saying? But it don't mean that I'm the number one top of nothing. Like, that's not what it is.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to add to this? Because obviously we got some more stuff we want to talk about related to this. Like, we want to talk about some of the masculine ideas we learned at home and maybe church and school. But we can do that in another episode. Continue that in another episode. You guys got any further things y'all want to say before we close this one out?
Do push-ups and eat steak where you ain't a man.
Now, I just also say to the last point you were bringing up, you know, my immature days of thinking as a man, you know, I thought in a lot more of individual accomplishments and what I can do on my own strength. And in my mature ways of thinking about a man, and when I became a lot more successful in my moves as a man, came from wise counsel. And, you know, that came from either finding somebody who I looked up to, who has accomplished more than me, who I felt like they can give me the counsel that I need, or actually reaching out to counseling, you know what I'm saying, and getting some therapy, getting somebody else to help me shift my thinking. You know, it helped assist me as a man for sure.
Gotcha.
Oh no, I think everybody, you know, hit it right on the head. I think just being a man is just taking care of your responsibilities. And if I can't do something, you know, finding somebody who can. You know, I know my girl know I can't change no tire, but if something happened and I call somebody who can, I still took care of it at the end of the day.
You feel me?
You know, I think
No shade on you.
Yeah, no shade at all, you know. But I just think you got to just take care of your responsibilities as a man and whatever that look like.
Yeah.
And I think if you doing that, I feel like, you know, your spouse will respect you, the people around you will respect you. I'm a firm believer of ask what you don't know. I'm always asking questions.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always going to be a continual learner. Always want to learn. I'm just super curious too. So I'm always ask questions. So I feel like all that is cool, man. I think when you try to just take care of everything and feel like you know everything, I feel like that makes you less of a man. Because at that point, you just hurting yourself and you hurting the people around you. So that's not the definition of a man, right?
Right.
In my mind, so.
Yeah, that's not a definition, man, because you ain't got to be like that. You know, I think in closing this thing out, I think really being able to look at yourself, evaluate your own feelings and emotions, embrace what you do good, but also understand that you can fail, you have shortcomings, and being able to look at those things, not in a sense that you beat yourself down completely, but you understand that these are places that you need to grow, and don't be afraid to accept failure and ask for help. We don't have to be superheroes. We don't have to be knights in shining armor. We don't have to be super cops, or we don't have to be gangsters. All we got to do is just be good people.
Facts.
To be good men.
It's good.
So, y'all folks, see y'all in the next episode. We're going to continue this discussion around masculinity. We're going to explore ideas around home and school and church and different places, and mosques, synagogues, places we might learn different ideas about what it means to be a man. Y'all have a good one, and we will talk to you soon.